Hey there, welcome to my third episode, Conversation with Kelly Diamond on Voluntary Virtues, Thursdays at 6:30 a.m. every week, Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 a.m. every Thursday, Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch me at my blog every week, loyally for over a year and a half at globalwealthprotection.com every Monday morning. All right, so I guess one episode after another starts to get me to think about, the applications thereof. And so my first episode was about property right and how fragmenting it weakens it and allows for the government to come in and chip away at unused corners of your right because you're not paying attention to it or because it's not as important to you because you don't use it as much. And then last week we were talking a little bit about corporate personhood and the protection of your property right, using that as a tool. And that being more of a perspective argument, both of those being a perspective argument, how to look at things, how to look at your right versus your rights, and how to look at corporate personhood, albeit you could be against its existence, you can still say, well, but it does exist, and as such, so does the state, and so do a lot of other evil things. If I can use something to protect myself, perhaps it's worth consideration. And so this week, I want to talk about, because my ire's up, it is, I'm a little bit crabby, had a few angering exchanges on the internet, and I'm going to take it out on this half hour. So, perspective, again, is a matter of how you see perhaps your own philosophy. There are people who take their philosophies, be it political, philosophical, theological, and decide to browbeat people with it, and be very evangelical about it. And and then when it's rejected, our pride shows, and the condescension starts to come out, and and ad hom takes over, and it's, I don't know. I guess I like to see that kind of passion in people. I do. I like to see that people are fervent about what they believe and that they're convicted about it and what have you. But it's hard to have a conversation when somebody's either being so hard-headed about it that they're just waiting to respond rather than listening to the argument, or that they're just sitting there trying to find the whole rather than listening to the merits of the entire argument. They're trying to find a piece of it, and again, it comes down to the idea of fragmenting something that it has a more macro, I guess, disposition. If you have, say, now I got into one discussion, and this is going to lead me to the general theme of what I titled this episode, which is "We Should." I got into a discussion with somebody about. I posted this meme on Facebook that had said something to the effect of, and it was posted, of course, by our local government. It says, "Don't text and drive. Text this number to get more information." And the sign is obviously on the side of a highway, so the only way you're really going to see it, or at least the majority of the people who are going to see it, is people driving by. I mean, unless you're a passenger, you're just like, I gotta know more about not texting and driving. You're sitting there doing that for the driver or yourself. I don't know how effective that really is, or if that's really a good idea. Something more memorable, something that you're not going to do what they're telling you not to do would probably have been better, right? Okay. So I don't have to explain that to you, but so I posted it because I found it really funny and slightly ironic and typical of the government. I'm going to tell you not to text and drive, and I'm going to tell you to text it to a number to get more information about, The cynic in me says that that's just the way to track, right? They know that the person who's going to text is on the highway, so maybe they just mail you a ticket later saying, we busted you texting and driving. How else would you have texted this to this number, etc. That's the deep cynic in me, but that prompted another discussion, and the discussion was whether or not texting and driving is in fact dangerous. Well, I mean, so this person posts on my thread and says, well, texting and driving does kill. And again, that's a way to look at something very myopically. Texting and driving in and of itself doesn't do anything. All it does is distract you. Now, texting and driving is a distraction, which could lead to an accident, which could kill somebody. So, but the actual thing that's going to kill you is probably the accident and the physics involved in it. not so much the texting and driving. The texting and driving is a variable, right? Just like your rights. If you look at, your right as one singular right, it doesn't matter if it's, right to speech, right to own something, right to earn, right to pursue your happiness, right to acquire property, right to assemble, right to associate, right to disassociate. All of that is an exercise of your property right. Okay, so there's something, it falls under a greater umbrella. So the same is true with this. Texting and driving can kill. Distractions kill, which means that any number of distractions could kill somebody. I could see a deer on the side of the road. The deer might not even actually jump in front of me. I respond improperly, and I jerk my arm, and I could run into somebody, and I could kill somebody just by doing that. Any distraction, okay, jeopardizes somebody's focus on the road. And there are a lot of things, likewise, there's a lot of things that can impair your judgment on the road. So a distraction, or even something that could a preoccupation. So you're coming home stressed after work. You've got kids screaming in the back. You're tired after a long shift. You just covered for somebody else. There's all sorts of factors that could lead to a distraction, impair your judgment, and ultimately lead to an accident that could kill somebody. And most of them are optional. They could have been prevented, just like texting. You didn't have to get behind the wheel when you were drunk. You didn't have to get behind the wheel when you were tired. You didn't have to get behind the wheel when your kids were all upset. You didn't have to there's a lot of things you didn't have. You didn't have to turn on your radio. You didn't have to play your favorite song, which involves sirens, and that freaked you out. You thought it was a cop, and you jerked, and you slammed on your brakes. I mean, the list goes, the list goes forever. Right? So texting and driving. So this person's pet project was texting and driving, and went into this whole big thing about how it kills people. Plus, this is 16,000 people have died from texting and driving. That could have been prevented. All I'm saying is, here we go. We shouldn't do that. There we go. We shouldn't, or we should try to encourage people not to do that. And my thing is, and perhaps, and I don't know if I'm too apathetic yet. I'll probably know later. But for now, I'm not particularly concerned about what other people do while they're driving, as long as they don't kill me. And I don't know that they're going to kill me until they do it. I don't. I can't preemptively go after people because I think they're going to kill me. That's ridiculous. That's American foreign policy. That's the greatest folly about it, is that preemptive, action taken against people that are ostensibly innocent, right? So I'm not gonna start browbeating people because they might kill me because they might make a bad decision. A lot of people might make bad decisions. Okay, I mean, it'd be great if everybody was really self-aware, but they're not. I assume that when I'm on the road. I assume that people aren't paying attention, and then I navigate accordingly, right? I mean, that's the thing. That's what you do. Assume that everybody's an asshole on the road and then drive accordingly. Why would you assume that everybody's got their shit together and that everybody's paying attention? I wouldn't. There's too many distractions. That billboard itself was a distraction. I don't care how many seconds it took. It only takes one. So, if you're following too close and you see the billboard, someone slams on the brakes, you're in an accident. So this whole "we should" thing, first of all, it's part of it is a linguistic habit that people have to break. Okay? I was brought up with it as well, and a lot of people were, and I get that. So it's not just me trying to nitpick the semantics of it and nitpick the linguistic habit. But more importantly, it's the sentiment behind it, which is, I'm not the only one that should be looking out for this issue. You should be caring about this issue too. But it's not an issue to me. So now what? Well, then this enters, right? Well, it's people like you that make libertarianism sound so bad. Now, take that sentiment and hold on to it for a second, okay? Because there was a second conversation that I had, completely different page, completely different circumstances, where a person decided to become a full-on grammar Nazi. Had a friend of mine post on libertarian brutalism. Yes, The Libertarian fish fucking page of all places. Okay, this is not a place where this is not where Lord Byron goes and enters literary contests and people are, you know, tapping into their inner Wordsworth. This is the Libertarian Brutalist page. Everybody is seriously trying to outdo one another on how freaking inappropriate it can be on Facebook, which is fine. I mean, if that's your thing, great, you know. And some of it's funny, and some of it's, you know, I'm embarrassed to my core, but whatever, you know. That's the page where they do it. Well, anyway, it's Libertarian Brutalism. So a friend of mine posts on there and says, you know, finds this Leo USA, which, by the way, I encourage everyone to troll if you have nothing else to do and you want to get your jollies from trolling a police lover page. Go to Leo's USA. It's amazing. Anyway, so it encourages everybody to go to Leo's USA to, you know, to get their troll on. And he posts what he, you know, a screenshot of what he had posted, and apparently there was a grammatical error. Yes, a grammatical error was in his post. And so this person says, and prefaces it with, I know this is a dick move, but, ... and then proceeds to criticize the grammar. And my thing is it's Facebook. Okay, there's people responding from their phones, for God's sake. And autocorrect is a world-known cunt. So I never mean ducking shirt. I never mean that. I never mean ducking shirt. But I'll be damned if I don't get that every single time I try to say fucking shit. So yeah, there's gonna be errors. Okay. Does it make it so that I completely don't understand what they're saying? I mean, is it so incomprehensible that, you know, it's just jarbled letters, or that the words are completely non sequitur and it's not what they're really trying to say? Or do I get the gist of what they're saying? If I get what they're saying, then I'm going to go after the argument, not after the damn grammar. Okay, this is not a Lincoln Douglas debate. This is Facebook. And more importantly, it's libertarian brutalism. Okay, so with that context in mind, there is, you know, I'm not going to get all uppity over somebody's grammar, because that's not the issue. The issue isn't your grammar or spelling. The issue is your argument. You know, are you making a good argument? And, you know, the person wasn't saying, hey, let's go be grammatical on the Leo's USA page. The person was saying, hey, let's go troll them with our counter ideas, right? That's what he was saying. It was an open invitation. So this person goes off about grammar. And I said, you know, unless I'm getting paid in credits or in money, I'm not sitting here writing draft after draft, making sure, dotting my I's and crossing my T's on Facebook. Okay, this is not. I'm not filing special papers so that I can, you know, that's going to ultimately result in something fantastic for me. This is Facebook. This is not a job application. This is not a, you know, a piece of prose that I will later take and publish for money. This is not an application that is going to ultimately get me, you know, that's going to save me money, or, you know, get me out of the country, or save a life. This is a expression of an idea on social media. That's it. So no, I'm not particularly concerned with people's grammar. Well, I get this. You're representing the movement. Now, I can't tell you how profoundly disturbing I find it when people tell me this. It upsets me to my core when people tell me I'm representing anything other than myself. Short of being somebody's proxy or having some sort of power of attorney for somebody, I'm not representing anything else but myself. I don't represent all anarcho-capitalists. I don't represent a liberty movement. I don't represent anybody, okay, except myself. So when I go out there and I espouse what I do and I say what I say, this is not on behalf of everyone who considers themselves an anarcho-capitalist. I would like to say X, Y, and Z. And the reason why I don't do that is very simple, because I don't want people thinking that other people represent me. They don't. They don't. Just because you call yourself an anarcho-capitalist doesn't mean that you represent everything I stand for. And you don't get to define what it is to be an anarcho-capitalist and what kind of decisions I need to be making in order to be one. There are basic, fundamental, baseline concepts, one of which is individualism as opposed to collectivism, which is why we don't represent each other. There's, the absence of the state. There's voluntary interaction. There's don't initiate force or violence. That stuff is baseline. But outside of that, how I conduct myself, there could be a poor man on the street, and one of us could walk by and say, oh, here, let me go buy you a lunch. The other one could just walk right by and never pay the person, a greeting. We're not going to behave the same way because we subscribe to a certain philosophy. So we don't get together and say, what would Mises do? We don't thump the Bible of Spooner in people's faces. That's not what anarcho-capitalism is. It's individualism. So this whole we should thing comes out again. And this is just a matter of what we can do. And first I have somebody telling me, well, just because you want to say, fuck the state doesn't mean that you should be texting and driving and putting people's lives in danger. We need to do, our part to keep it safe out there. No, I don't. I'm not morally obliged to do shit. I'm obliged to go about my business. Okay? And I'm going to be distracted, and so's everybody else. And there's nothing we can do individually or collectively to force other people to not be distracted while driving several tons of metal on the open highway at relatively high speed. There isn't anything any of us can do, short of violence, right, short of force, to make that happen. So either you're going to force me not to text and drive, or I'm going to force someone else not to text and drive, and I have to find a way in which that makes, in which that's even feasible, because, practically speaking, it makes no sense. I can't go to every single car and stop people from using their phones. So whereas somebody might have done this, and texted, now they're afraid that they're going to get caught. So now they're going to put it down in their lap, and they're going to look down rather than looking upward, right? So that's all that's going to happen. I don't need to. We don't need to. We shouldn't anything. You'll do what you think is necessary, and I'll do what I think is necessary. If you feel you need to meditate and find your center, and focus on that nice little cottage in the woods with the deer sipping water at the creek, to find your zen and align your chi and all that happy stuff before you get on the road, because that makes you safer, then do it. Then do it. I'm not trying to stop that, but I'm just telling you that I don't expect everyone else to do it. And so if I'm not going to be able to undistract people, and sure, yeah, I'll say be safe on the road, and as a general statement, I'll say drive safely, and I'll say stuff like that, not as a command so much as it is, just keep your wits about you, because while you might be safe, other people are not. I anticipate that people might be safe. So this whole we should thing, in the case of texting, is ridiculous. Do I think it's right that people do it? Not really. I mean, if you can avoid driving behind the wheel when you're tired, distracted, stressed, angry, or have loud music, or have loud conversations, if you can do all of that and drive in a very silent, a cone of silence, with encouraging, uplifting, keep you awake music. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it takes. I don't know what kind of conditions are necessary for you not to get into an accident, or to cause one, or what. All I can say is keep your wits about you, and that's about it. And drive defensively. But this we should thing makes no sense. We should what? What are you going to do? 16,000 deaths, from texting. 100,000 deaths a year. Over 100,000 deaths a year just from people who are sleepy behind the wheel. Wake up? I mean, what do you want me to do? Give people, pass out monsters along the road instead of having sobriety checkpoints? I'm going to have these, awakenedness checkpoints and say, hey, you look a little drowsy. Here's a monster. Here's a 5-hour energy. I mean, there isn't anything. At the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it. And to end it, but the words we should means I should be going out and doing something to people. You want me to evangelize this? No, I'm not going to take up the helm and do that. I don't give a shit what people do when I'm going to do that. Should I? Only to the extent that it affects me do I care. And so I drive defensively, and that's how I address it. That's how I take care of it. That's what I believe I should be doing. Right? That's what I believe I should be doing. I should be driving defensively. I should be keeping my wits about me. I should be paying attention to the road because I assume that nobody else is. We should represent the movement grammatically. Well, shit. This is no different than the people who think that that libertarians shouldn't cuss because it makes it sound so brash and it's unappealing, etc., etc. But here's the bottom line for me again. I'm not selling it. I'm not part of a movement. I'm not trying to sell libertarianism. I don't care whether you take it up or not. It'd be neat if you did. It'd be cool. I'd love it if you did. I hope that the merits of my arguments or the merits of what I say resonates with you. I hope you research it. I hope you look into it further, and I hope you come to a similar conclusion as I did. I mean, I'd love it. That'd be neat. But I'm not evangelizing. I'm not going door to door saying, do you have a few minutes to talk about our anarcho-capitalist Lord and Savior? No. I don't do that. I don't even look for conversations to have with people. I just go about my business, and I live as free as possible. And on Facebook, I engage in conversations and jump on threads that compel me to do so. That's it. Whether you like it or not, Kelly, you're representing the movement. No, I'm not. This is not whether I like it or not. People want to project that on me. That's not my fault, and that's certainly not my problem. No more than it's my problem what your feelings are. That's not something I can control, so no, it's not my problem. If I can control it, it's probably mine. At least in part. But if I can't control it, it ain't mine. So no, that's not my problem. You want to think that I'm representing a movement, that's your excuse not to listen. So is my grammar. So is my language. That's all excuses to dodge the merits of my argument. That's an excuse on the person decoding my message, not me, the encoder who's giving the message. Now, you want to say that me, dropping F-bombs left and right is a distraction to the argument. Okay. That's probably not going to change me much. Either you're in a conversation with me knowing full well who I am, at least well enough to know that I'm not changing my speech so I can cater to your sensibilities, or you don't. And if you'll find out pretty quickly which one that is, and then you'll act accordingly. Fine, don't listen. It doesn't hurt me that you don't listen. Now, it may or may not affect you, and it may or may not affect your overall understanding of people's worldviews, but there's going to be a point where you're going to say, I only listen to people who speak in perfect grammar, write and never make a spelling error, and talk in such a way that I find to be most empathetic toward my feelings, and most sympathetic toward my feelings. And okay, you're going to have a really abridged and tiny circle of people if that's the case. But, I mean, more power to you. Still, for me, there is no liberty movement. I'm not rallying people to do much of anything. I don't believe in voting. I don't believe in petitioning. I don't believe in protesting. I don't believe in anything that requires me to beg the government to do anything, collectively or individually. I don't write letters to my congressman. I don't do any of that. Because I don't care enough to do it. I'm not part of a movement. I'm not going to show up at this, at this protest, with these certain rules that, that somebody the leader of the Free State Project or the Libertarian Party or whatever it is, okay, we're all going to get together in solidarity, but here are a few rules. Don't open carry. It intimidates people. It ruins the image of the movement. Don't make these kinds of crass jokes because it offends people and it detracts from the credibility of the movement. This isn't a religion. Understand? I mean, somebody came after me once for cussing, saying, "Oh, look at this person who's cussing so much and is espousing peace." I mean, okay, People have never died from the word fuck. There isn't one case in this state, in all of human history, that can be traced back that says this person dropped dead, bled to death, or whatever it is. It took his life to hear the word fuck. Nope. It doesn't violate a single property right whatsoever. It does no harm whatsoever to anybody other than their feelings. And yet this whole thing of we should, because of the movement, quit collectivizing me. Please don't drop me into a group. Please don't say, all you anarcho-capitalists. No, just me. If you've got issues with what I say, just me. Just me. For now. Now, if you find out that somebody else agrees with me, then it's us. Then it's the two of us who agree on this one issue in this moment. Maybe it's us. But that's it. Okay? There is no we should. There's what would you do? What would I do? What would he do? What would she do? And based on that, can we anticipate a certain type of behavior? Now, for me, I expect the worst. So I prepare for the worst. I prepare for the worst, but I don't behave as if the worst has already happened. And I don't treat the person as if they are already guilty of the crime. Right? But I expect that something bad might happen, and I prepare myself accordingly. And I behave accordingly. That's it. That's the extent. I lock my door because I don't want to tempt people into coming into my house. I want to deter them from doing it. But that's not going to stop everybody from coming into my house. Me being absent is more of an invitation than a locked door. Right? Me being unarmed and then being armed might be the leverage. But whatever it is, I'm not going to stop everybody from doing anything. I'm going to do what I can with my things and myself to deter people and discourage people from doing bad things to me. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drive defensively. So even if that doesn't deter you from doing something tragic on the road, it certainly saves me from being a victim of it. Or reduces my chances of being a victim of it. We should be telling people not to text me. We shouldn't be texting on the road. And it's because you don't care what people are doing and you don't care to stop them. That's why there's all this death. And no, that's not it. That's not it. I'm not representing your movement. I'm not worried about my grammar. I'm not worried about my spelling. I'm not worried about what other people are doing because I've got my own shit to worry about. So there it is. This whole we should thing drives me nuts. Collectivizing me is a peeve of mine. And I typically, I don't indulge in it. So, people who are going to say, oh, it pisses her off when we do this, but I'm going to do that. Yeah, okay, but it's annoying. It's going to happen some more, but I'm not, it's not an argument. It's not even a valid argument to collectivize anybody. It's not. It's a false argument. Because we don't know that all women, all men, all black people, all white people, all Asians, all Jews, all Christians, all anything. No, there is no all of you do anything. There isn't you all, short of, the physiological attributes of men, we could probably say, yeah, they all probably have a dick. That's about it. That's all you can really say. You can't philosophically collectivize people and expect that that's even a valid argument in the first place. But what I hate to see the most is that happening amongst libertarians, because then I have to say, well, what kind of libertarian are you that doesn't see me as an individual but sees me as part of a collective? Check your crevices, right? I don't know. To me, it's just irksome. It's a terrible little habit that, I try to break it linguistically, but I certainly don't view people that way. And so, I don't know. I don't let people shame you into to behaving one way or the other. Represent yourself. Stick with that. It's easier, and you've got a lot more to represent when you're focused on yourself, and you can and then you can help others. Help yourself, help others, and and keep it simple. Have a great day. I'll catch you next week. Bye.